Hello, buddy. All right, welcome to the Mikestand. Today, of course, is Thursday, July 31st. So we're now, of course, down to the final day of the seventh month of the year. We're, of course, over halfway through the 2025 here. Hope everybody's had a good week thus far and preparing for the weekend. Just got over the hump. So, of course, we're going to give people a chance to come in before we get started. So hopefully, anyways, a friendly reminder to everybody, if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we get some more friendly people in here to engage, that'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and we'll try to answer the questions to the best of our ability, and I'll try to answer questions to the best of my ability. Anyways, see, I did happen to have a chance to watch more cartoons earlier today. Actually saw Barney Bear's first appearance for MGM, the bear that couldn't sleep. That was a pretty interesting one. It's one of those cartoons where it's like anything that bad that can happen happens. trying to get, he's trying to get, he's trying to get to hibernating, and every little thing that can happen to him happens to by the time he does finally fall asleep, it's springtime already. So so of course the Betty Boop cartoon, Scared Crows, her and Pudgy having to basically chase off some crows there. Saw Egghead's last appearance. Egghead, who was the prototype Elmer Fudd in Believe It or Else, which was a parody of the old Believe It or Not series. So, anyways, we're just, as I said, just waiting for see if anybody else shows up here before we get started. Let's see. Oh, and I saw the last Scrappy cartoon too, Scrappy's Rodeo. It's the last in his particular series. He'll be featured in like the Fables and Fantasies, um, series. But he and Crazy Cat, their own specific series have basically been completed. So, all right. So now we're past the 3 minute mark here. So I guess I'll go ahead and talk about what's on tap for tonight. So tonight, of course, we got like three articles we're gonna go over. First off, on MeTV Tunes, we're gonna look at kind of another profile piece regarding Bugs Bunny, of course, talking about MeTV Tunes official top 25 Bugs Bunny cartoons. After that, we got a couple of other articles we're going to look at, including IDW's adaptation of Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow, and then I think there's a little profile piece on Marvel's The Champions from back in the 70s. So, with that being said, why don't we go ahead and get ourselves started here? Get right into the first article here. Talk about MeTV Tunes official top 25 Bugs Bunny cartoons here. Alrighty then, and as I said before, if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage, it'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I will try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So, with that being said, let's get into this. So, MeTV Tunes official top 25 Bugs Bunny cartoons. MeTV Tunes watchers voted. Here are the results. Article published today by MeTV Tunes staff. All right, so you guys voted, and now it's time to reveal the list of the very best Bugs Bunny cartoons, according to MeTV Tunes audience. There were many cartoons to consider, so we arranged this list based on which original theatrical cartoon received the largest percentage of votes per year. Um, the final result is a top 25 list of the top voted Bugs Bunny cartoons determined by MeTV Tunes viewers. Did your favorite make the list? So I guess they're not going in countdown order. They're just going. All right. So number one, A Witch's Tangled Hair. In last place with 18% of the vote, A Witch's Tangled Hair. So I guess this is kind of in countdown mode, I guess, but it's just in reverse order. So, anyways, Witch's Tangled Hair. This Halloween cartoon features June Foray voicing Witch Hazel as she tries to capture bugs for her latest cauldron. Now, I don't know if this was her first. This might have been her first appearance because I just don't remember. 1942, Bugs Bunny gets the Boyd. Oh yeah, this is Beaky Buzzard. The next placed cartoon is Bob Clampett's Bugs Bunny Gets the Boyd, a play on Bugs' Bronx, Brooklyn accent. This cartoon features Beaky Buzzard, who tries and fails to hunt bugs for supper. In our polls, this cartoon got 23% of the votes cast votes for Bugs' 1942 cartoons. So, let's see. And also, of note, Sarah Bernard provided the voice for Beaky's mother in this cartoon as well. I do remember that much. Number 3, 1943, Tortoise Wins by a Hair. This cartoon also got 23% votes. Clampett's Tortoise Wins by a Hair is a sequel to Tex Avery's Tortoise Beats Hare. And instead of retelling the classic Aesop fable, shows Bugs being the bad guy. He attempts to sabotage Cecil Turtle. 1948, Buccaneer Bunny. This nautical cartoon also got 23% of the vote, but additionally, it nearly tied with two other cartoons in this category: Haredevil Hare and Bugs Bunny Rides Again. Now, these are, I guess, from the 1948 cartoon, among the 1948 cartoons. Buccaneer Bunny features Yosemite Sam as seagoing Sam. Number 5, 1955's Beanstalk Bunny. You see Daffy Duck right there. Another classic fairy tale done Looney Tune style, Beanstalk Bunny, in quotes, begins when Daffy accidentally throws a magic bean into Bugs' rabbit hole, sending them both on the journey of Jack and the Beanstalk. And again, if you haven't already, if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage, that'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So, number 6, 1940s, A Wild Hare. Next up, with 27% of the vote, is Tex Avery's A Wild Hare. This cartoon marks Bugs' first official appearance as Bugs, not as quote-unquote Happy Rabbit. It's also the debut of Bugs' catchphrase, "What's up, Doc? What's up, Doc?" Number 7, 1944's A Little Red Riding Rabbit. Receiving 27% of the vote, Little Red Riding Rabbit is our top Bugs Bunny cartoon from 1944. It's also considered one of the top 50 cartoons of all time, according to the 1994 book, The 50 Greatest Cartoons, as selected by 1,000 animation professionals. Or Little Red Riding Rabbit, rather. Rabbit Hood, 1949. When Robin Hood doesn't show up, Bugs has to rely on his wits and disguises to outsmart the Sheriff of Nottingham. In Rabbit Hood, this cartoon received 28% of the votes for the 1949 cartoons. Oh, I see what they actually meant, what they were doing. So basically, what they did is they basically had cartoons for each year Bugs could have been produced, and they just put they took the top 25 vote getters, basically, but with so 1954, Bugs and Thugs. This cartoon is tied with Rabbit Hood with 28% of this category's votes. Bugs and Thugs features Rocky and Muggsy, who appeared with different Looney Tunes characters in 7 cartoons during Fritz Frayling's mobster phase. Number 10, 1960s Rabbit's Feet, and that's spelled F-E-A-T, meaning accomplishment or something like that, as opposed to feet like what you walk on. Next up is one of the rare pairings of Bugs and Wile E. Coyote, who can talk when he's up against Bugs. This cartoon received 29% of the votes, and nearly tied with From Here to Hair. Number 11, 1956's Broomstick Bunny. Our next cartoon, with 31% of the votes for its year's category, is Broomstick Bunny, another Witch Hazel and Bugs matchup. But this was a special cartoon because it was June Foray and Chuck Jones's first time working together, the beginning of a lifelong friendship and collaboration. Number 12, 1940, Elmer's Candid Camera. In the category of cartoons where the bunny is clearly Bugs, but he wasn't officially Bugs yet, 32% of you voted for Elmer's Candid Camera. This cartoon is the first pairing of Bugs and Elmer. Now, in this particular case, they probably weren't, as they said, they weren't officially Bugs and Elmer yet. They were more like Happy Rabbit and Egghead. Well, I think they were calling him Elmer at this point, because, as I just said earlier, Egghead's last proto-Elmer, Egghead's last cartoon was apparently in Believe It or Else. Number 13, 1947, A Hair Grows in Manhattan. 34% of the 1947 cartoon votes went to A Hair Grows in Manhattan, where Bugs gives us a look into his past as a young rabbit, dealing with thugs in New York. Number 14, 1945's Hair Tonic. We shouldn't be biased, but this is one of our favorites too. Hair Tonic shows Bugs at his very craftiest as he messes with Elmer. Bugs impersonates a radio host and a doctor, convincing Elmer that he is infected with the disease rabbititis. This cartoon won the 1944 category with 35% of the votes. And of course, we get the signal down again, of course. Signal going. Signal come back up. All right. Anyways, number 15, 1951's Rabbit Fire. Ah, yes, the beginning of Chuck Jones's hunting trilogy, Rabbit Fire, features Bugs, Elmer, and Daffy. This cartoon also marks a significant shift in Daffy's character from being a wild screwball to a more conniving and deceitful duck. This cartoon received 35% of the votes for its category. Yes, and also, I believe this is probably was the first one where we get the whole rabbit season, duck season, rabbit season, duck season, rabbit season, duck season, duck season, rabbit season, duck season, rabbit season, duck season, rabbit season, duck season, fire. Anyways, continuing on here. Let's see, number 16, 1952, Rabbit Seasoning. The second installment of the hunting trilogy begins our top 10. Rabbit Seasoning also placed in the top 50 greatest cartoons of all time list. This is widely considered to be one of Chuck Jones's greatest cartoons. It received 36% of the category's votes. Number 17, 1946 is Baseball Bugs. This cartoon was up against some major classics and still walked away with 38% of the vote. Baseball Bugs showcases some major cartoon physics as Bugs, through his power of speed and sass, plays solo against a whole baseball team. Number 18, 1962, Wet Hair. This is the only Bugs Bunny versus Blackjack Shellac cartoon that made it onto the list, receiving 38% of the 1962 category votes. In Wet Hair, a gruff lumberjack keeps building a dam above Bugs' favorite waterhole. Dam, as in D-A-M, not to be confused with the other word that's considered a curse word. Number 19, 1950's Rabbit of Seville. A racing slapstick homage to Rossini's Barber of Seville. This cartoon features Bugs and Elmer take their feud to the opera. This cartoon is also listed on the top 50 list and received 39% of votes. Number 20, 1964's Dr. Devil and Mr. Hare. Bugs once again impersonates a doctor and a psychologist to mess with the Tasmanian Devil. This cartoon received 39% of the vote, but nearly tied with The Iceman Ducketh. Number 21, 1963's Transylvania 6 5000. Another spooky tune in Transylvania 6 5000. Bugs gets lost and winds up at Blood Count's Castle. This cartoon is well loved, earning 40% of the votes. It is also Chuck Jones's last original theatrical Warner Brothers cartoon, at least during the golden age. I think he did some shorts in the 90s. Number 22, 1953's Duck, Rabbit, Duck. Now we're entering the heavy hitters. Duck, Rabbit, Duck received a whopping 49% of the votes. It's the final installment in Chuck Jones's hunting trilogy, which also includes Rabbit Fire and Rabbit Seasoning, featuring Bugs, Elmer, and Daffy. Duck season, rabbit season, duck season, rabbit season, duck season, rabbit season, rabbit season, duck season, rabbit season, duck season, fire! Number 23, 1957's What's Opera Doc? Beginning our top three is the beloved classic What's Opera Doc? It's been added to the National Film Registry and is considered one of the best cartoons Warner Brothers has ever released. For this poll, it received 52%. So obviously, the top three all got over 50% of the vote. And 1957 had voted to be the best year for Bugs Bunny cartoons. Was voted best year. Number 24, 1958's Nighty Night Bugs. In second place is the Academy Award-winning classic Nighty Night Bugs, which received 58% of the votes. And then finally, 1961's The Abominable Snow Rabbit. We were a little surprised by this one, but The Abominable Snow Rabbit received a whopping 69% of the votes. It is our big first place winner. Watch Bugs Bunny and Friends on MeTV Tunes weekdays at 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central, 6 a.m. Pacific, and 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, 5 Pacific. Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific, and Sundays at 12 noon Eastern, 11 Central, 11 a.m. Central, 9 a.m. Pacific. All right, so there we go with that one. Let me go over to Leading Fool here. Get those. So actually, I do need to step away from the computer for a moment before we get into the next couple of articles. So I'll be right back. But what I will do in the meantime, put some music on to entertain you guys. While I step away. So I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. So here we go. Let's get ready to move on to, of course, the next article here we're going to do. This one right here. Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow film getting a sequel at IDW Comics. Article by Avi Green published today. So let's see what we got here. All right, so as was previously reported, IDW is launching quite an imprint dedicated to the darkness and now. Entertainment Weekly reports they're adapting film director Tim Burton's 1999 Sleepy Hollow movie to comics format. So, well, as we all know, Avi's not a big fan of the darker side of life. So, anyways, the Headless Horseman of Tim Burton's cinematic nightmare rides again. Sleepy Hollow, the 1999 classic from the Beetlejuice and Edward Scissorhands director, is getting a sequel, just not on the big screen. IDW Dark, the horror imprint of IDW Publishing, will release Return to Sleepy Hollow, a new comic series set 15 years after the events of the movie. Entertainment Weekly can exclusively reveal. So it's kind of like what they did with Pennywise, I believe. They did it with movie form, but anyways. Quote, I've always had a fascination with spiritualism, early Victorian funeral practices, and folklore. So combining them together in the world of Sleepy Hollow has made my elder goth heart so full, unquote, Gilly continues. Oh, wait. All right. Quote, it's been delightful to create scripts for Savannah and to see their elegant, refined, and beautifully gory art make the book come alive. Quote, they are truly a talent. They are truly a talent to keep your eye on. Unquote. Meyer shares their own statement. Quote, there was always a rumor going around about me in high school about how I just draw dead people all the time. Well, now I get paid to draw dead people, unquote. They say, quote, bones, trees, historical wear. I couldn't ask for more. Based on amazing folktale source material from my home state, I couldn't be more thrilled for my comic debut. With motifs of creepy trees, historical wear, and gore. It's a dream come true to draw Sleepy Hollow, and I truly am spoiled for choice. Unquote. Quote, we are so honored to be able to continue the story of Tim Burton's 1999 Sleepy Hollow. Fans of Sleepy Hollow, horror, gothic romance, and all things weird will find a lot to love in our series, unquote. Riley Farmer, an editor on the title, shares in a statement. Quote, Casey Gilly has been putting together a story packed with bone-chilling murders, tender moments, and supernatural mysteries. And Savannah Meyer captures it all so beautifully with haunting gothic imagery that breathes life and death, in parentheses there, into the story. Ichabod returns to Sleepy Hollow in a tale that is sure to knock your head off, unquote. Now, I guess this is Avi's response to what we just read there. Let's see now. All right. All right. So there we go. Ugh. And look how the assigned writers, artists, are gushing over the violent visuals that look to be seen in this adaptation. We could honestly do without. Well, that is, we can honestly do without. Well, that is your opinion, Avi, and you're welcome to it. With such marketing, it's no wonder creativity and positivity are going down the drain. This is another example of how IDW's becoming woefully outmoded. Well, I don't know. I mean, horror, dark themes do have their place. Just like it's just another niche that people, it's not for everybody, but there are people out there who do enjoy those type of stories. I mean, obviously that wouldn't be the case. Obviously, they wouldn't be doing it if that wasn't the case. If there wasn't at least some, demand for it. All right, so now we'll get to the final article of the evening, of course. We'll get to here. All right, so here's the final article we're gonna get into here. The Champions, 1975 to 1978, a Marvel masterpiece only if purchased with gift cards. Article by Dave Huber, published today. So let's get into this. I think that's Ghost Rider right there. Iceman. Angel, it looks like there. Okay. One of the more questionable creative moves by Marvel in the mid 70s was giving the green light to Oni Isabella's The Champions, a West Coast based superhero team comprised of Hercules, the Black Widow, Angel, Iceman, and Ghost Rider. As yours truly recently discovered over $250 in Amazon cards while cleaning the office, I purchased the quote unquote Marvel Masterworks edition of the Champions just to take me back to my early junior high school years. That and George Tuska's late and John Byrne's early pencil work. Isabella has a rather lengthy foreword in which he points out he is the alleged creative genius behind the then new super team, not to mention Black Goliath, in parentheses, quote, who I wanted to call Giant Man, unquote, he says, and Tigra. Isabella said he originally wanted the book to be just about the Angel and Iceman in their new post X-Men era. In parentheses, the quote all new, all great unquote Uncanny X-Men featuring Wolverine, Nightcrawler, et al. Had just debuted in unparenthesed, but editor Len Wayne insisted all super teams had to have 5 members. That Isabella pointed out Fantastic Four didn't have 5 members. Apparently didn't phase Wayne. Well, I think what Wayne probably meant is that any new super team had to have 5 members. Obviously, the Fantastic Four was already a well established super team, and would probably not make much sense calling a 5-person team Fantastic Four. You'd have to call it Fantastic Five, which probably wouldn't go over too well. Hmm. To say the title got off to an ignominious start is an understatement. I mean, getting a past his prime Don Heck as your debut artist isn't gonna help bring in readers. Not to mention the convoluted, mystic-heavy plot of the first few issues. In parentheses here, quote, disgruntled gods, unquote, from Olympus, seek to kidnap Hercules and Venus, unparentheses, that ultimately brings the cast of characters together. Thankfully, by issue number 3, longtime Iron Man artist Tuska came on board, parentheses, with Vinnie Coletta on inks. I'm one of the few out there who actually appreciates this guy's work, according to Internet Banter, unparentheses. And then Byrne, who was just beginning to make people take notice of his stellar pictures. Hmm. Alas, even the then mega talented art of Byrne couldn't save the crappy scripts. And by issue number 17, the Champions was done. An Iron Man like villain, Rampage, proved popular enough that he reappeared several times in the book after his issue number 5 debut. Isabella's Black Goliath, um, Bill Foster, who debuted a decade before, in the pages of the Avengers and did end up being renamed Goliath, also ends up playing a big role in the book. Hmm. Hmm. Isabella certainly is an interesting character himself. Earlier this year, he came out as transgender under the name Jenny Blake Isabella. The middle name is an homage to Thor's old alter ego Don Blake. But hey, don't fret about quote dead naming Isabella. He'll be using both his names creatively moving forward. Quote, whether I use Tony or Jenny will depend on the project, unquote, he said. Quote, for example, if I were to write another Black Lightning series, it would make sense on several levels, including commercial, for me to go with Tony. If I were to write a series starring his daughters, Jenny might be more appropriate. I haven't yet decided which name will go on my new trans superhero series. It could be both. Isabella recognizes he came out, quote, at an especially fraught time for trans and non binary Americans, with the second Trump administration more hell bent than ever on erasing them, unquote, according to The Beat. Um, I don't think that's really the case. I don't think it's trying to erase trans people. You know, he just doesn't want them pushing their ideologies on kids. Just like most kids' parents don't want their kids being exposed to it. Quote, my transaction. I mean, I don't think you know anybody's got a problem if somebody, if once they're an adult, people want to be trans. If people want to go and have the operation, go from being a man to a woman or a woman to a man, that's their business. It's when you start pushing it on kids or trying to change kids, trying to put that on kids, that's where people are having the problem. Quote, my transition will be expensive, especially if the Nazis running our nation continue their cruel assaults on trans people in our medical care, Isabella said. Quote, as it is, only my medications and therapy are paid for. Anything else would be considered cosmetic and not covered. Indeed, because of odd complications, I'll be paying for therapy out of pocket until July. Unquote. Wow, my heart bleeds for the girl. He's got to pay for his own therapy. Parentheses. Hurry up, asteroid. So I take it our writer here is not too fond of the whole trans idea either, I guess. Who was it who wrote this article again? Oh, Dave Huber. And I'm sure Avi would be on board as well with Dave's sentiments. You can read about Isabella's gender or journey, quote unquote, at his personal blog. That is, if you really want to. You have the right to read it or not read it. That's your affair. As for the champions, if you're an old school guy like me who appreciates 70s styles dialogue and with few exceptions good artwork, it's worth picking up if only for the generational value. But I discovered this collection is hard to find for an inexpensive price, in parentheses, even in paperback, unless you discover some gift cards like I did. I wouldn't put out more than the list price for a trade paperback. All right, so there we go with that one. So that's all the articles we're going to do tonight. So hopefully you guys found all that stuff interesting, entertaining. So now, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get ready to move on to the next piece of niche, or the next portion of our show, which is the wrestling wrap up. Let's see now. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and move on to the wrestling wrap up here. We're going to first, of course, take a look back to last night's AEW Dynamite, as of course they continue to build towards they continue to build towards Forbidden Door coming up in August here. The opening match saw in another quarterfinal eliminator tournament match the Young Bucks of Matt and Nick Jackson defeating the Outrunners to advance in the tournament to see who will challenge the Hurt Syndicate at Forbidden Door. Of course, the Young Bucks become the third team after, of course, the Bang Bang Gang of Austin Gunn and Juice Robinson and FTR. Then in a street fight, which everyone was banned from ringside for the AEW World Title, Hangman Adam Page, retained over Jon Moxley. This was Moxley's contractual rematch. So, then in a women's tag match, Athena, Ring of Honor World Women's Champion Athena and Billy Starks defeated AEW World Women's Champion Toni Storm and Alex Windsor. And the main event saw Mark Briscoe defeat Ricochet in the four matches that were on. So now, with that being said, now looking ahead to tonight's TNA Impact and Ring of Honor on Honor Club shows. Go ahead and take a look at those real quick. As of course, I believe Impact will have. I think it might be 2 weeks from tomorrow. In fact, have their next pay-per-view. 2 weeks from tomorrow. I'm trying to think. They just had Slammiversary, so see, and Bound for Glory is actually coming up in October. This might be Emergence, I think, is coming. I think Emergence is the one coming up. So in preparation for the next pay-per-view, Emergence, on tonight's TNA Impact from the Thomas M. Ryan Center in Kingston, Rhode Island, with Tom Hannafin and Matthew Rainwall on commentary. Danny Luna teams with Indy Hartwell to take on Ariana Grace and Jody Threat. The battle of two former tag partners who are now, of course, on opposing sides here. Then former TNA World Tag Team Champions, the Nemeth, Nick and Ryan Nemeth, will be taking on the Rascals, Myron Reed and Zachary Wentz. In a match for the TNA Knockouts World Title match, JC Jane defends against Masha Slamovich. Leon Slater will defend the X Division title in a three-way match against Cedric Alexander and Jason Hotch of the Great Hands. And in the main event, we'll see in six-man tag action, the System's Eddie Edwards, Brian Myers, and JDC, with Alicia Edwards in their corner, will be taking on First Class and Trick Williams. Apparently, Rich Swann will be making his return tonight because he'll be apparently teaming with AJ Francis. It's been a while since Rich Swann was in, had been in the ring. So that's all of the TNA news. Now to look ahead to tonight's Ring of Honor on Honor Club, the 127th episode, coming from the Byline Bank Aragon Ballroom in Chicago, Illinois. We'll see in action tonight Gringo Loco taking on John Cruz in singles action. Virus versus Shewa in the a Pure Rules match. Jimmy Jacobs takes on Blake Christian in a singles match. In a tag team match, the M&M collection of Mansoor and Mason Madden take on the Conglomeration's Hologram and Tomohiro Ishii. Ishii, of course, the current New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Openweight Champion. In a match for the Ring of Honor World Title, Bandito will be defending against Adam Priest. So that's all we got. In terms of wrestling wrap up. So with that being said, now would be a good time. Today being Thursday, July 31st, 2025, Let's take a look back at this day in niche history. On this last day of July in 2025. Let me see, 1986, 2015, 2020, and 2010. All right. So, with that being said, let's take a look back at this day in niche history. So, first off, on going back to the year 1996, on this day, 29 years ago today, back in 1996, the 95th issue of FemForce from AC Comics went on sale on this date back in 1996. Sold for $2.95 with 32 pages. Of course, you had a couple of stories here. You had FemForce's Ring of Rage, which was 20 pages, written by Bill Black, penciled by C. Bradford Gorby, inked by Mark G. Helke, and Walter Paisley did the lettering. So there's that. And then we also had the story Anchors Away, or I guess Anchors Away, but spelled ANKH-ORS. 5 pages, written by Bill Black, with art and lettering done by Richie Torch. So on this date, 29 years ago today, back in 1996, the 95th issue of FemForce went on sale on this date back in 1996. All right, so now moving on to the next piece of niche history as we move ahead to the year 2010. On this date in the year 2010, of course, premiering in Japanese theaters. Tatsunoko Productions' Hutch the Honeybee premiered in Japanese theaters on this date back in 2010, 15 years ago today. Hutch the Honeybee, Melody of Courage. Is a 2010 Japanese animation film and a remake of the television series The Adventures of Hutch the Honeybee. The film debuted at number 6 at the Japanese box office. The film was Group TAC's final production before it closed in August 2010. Group TAC co-produced this with Tatsunoko Production. The plot sees Hutch. Hutch is a male bee who, along with his friends, begins to find his mother, a queen bee, after bees have been attacked by a group of wasps. Hutch makes friends with several other insects, and with Ami, a human girl, who can talk to them. All right, so there we go with that one. And also on this date back in 2010, 15 years ago. Pierrot's Naruto Shippuden, the movie The Lost Tower, premiered in Japanese theaters on this date back in 2010. So Naruto Shippuden, the movie The Lost Tower, is a 2010 Japanese animated action-adventure fantasy film based on Masashi Kishimoto's manga and anime series. It was released on July 31st, 2010, along with the film. A comical short feature named Naruto, the Genie, and the Three Wishes was also shown. theme song, If, is performed by Kana Nishino. The film was released in North America on September 17, 2003 by Viz Media. So the plot of this film it goes like this. Assigned a mission to capture a missing rogue ninja named Mukade, Naruto Uzumaki, Sakura Haruno, Yamato, and Sai wield chakra knives at the 1,000-year-old desert city ruins of Loran. They confront Mukade, attempting to dominate the ninja world with the power of the Ryumiyaku, the ley line in English, an ancient chakra flowing deep underground. He breaks a seal created by Minato Namikashi to unleash the Ryumiyaku's power, creating a light that engulfs Naruto and Yamato before Sai and Sakura ride on an Inkbird and attempt to escape. Naruto and Yamato are sent 20 years into the past when Naruto awakens from this time slip. He meets the Queen of Loran, Sarah. It is later revealed that Mukade traveled to the past 6 years before Naruto and changed his name to Anro Kuzan, the minister of Loran, who had killed Sarah's mother, Saramu. Naruto agrees to protect Sarah after Anro Kuzan declares about the kidnapped citizen and creates to summon the puppet ninja forces. Minato, Shibi, Aburami, Shoza Akimichi, and Kakashi Hatake on their own mission to stop Anro Kuzan appear to support the heroes. All right, so much as I'll read of the plot there, I think you guys get the point. But anyways, on this date back in 2010, both Naruto Shippuden, the movie The Lost Tower, and Tatsunoko Productions' Hutch the Honeybee both premiered on this date 15 years ago today. So now getting ready to move on to the next piece of niche history. We move ahead to the year 2015. On this date in the year 2015, 10 years ago today, WWE Hall of Famer and former Intercontinental Champion Roddy Piper passed away at the age of 61 on this date back in 2015. Roddy Piper was a Canadian professional wrestler and film actor known for his work in the World Wrestling Federation, World Championship Wrestling, and Total Nonstop Action. Piper was inducted to the WWE Hall of Fame in 2005. Of course, everybody knows that he also had the Piper's Pit, which is part of. So now he had his last Piper's Pit ever almost 2 weeks before his passing back on July 18th of 2015 at a Maryland Championship Wrestling show, interviewing a former WWE employee who was portraying an embittered WWE employee. So now with that being said, now we have one more piece of niche. No. Have one more piece in each history before we start to wrap things up. As on this date 5 years ago today, the third season of 12-Ounce Mouse from William Street completed its run on Adult Swim on this date back in 2020. So on this date back in 2020, the third season of 12-Ounce Mouse, which is an American adult animated television series created by Matt Mailero for Cartoon Network's late night programming block Adult Swim. The third season concluded on this date back in 2020, 5 years ago today. So with that being said, I thank everybody for being here tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. Of course, we'll be back here with more Niche News tomorrow. And don't forget, this Sunday, I'll be joined by RJ Carter from Critical Blast. We'll be taking a look back at comics history. Back in June of 1940, we'll be looking at comics that went on sale from Ace magazines. Looking at, of course, Surefire number 2, Surefire Comics number 2, and Super Mystery Comics number 2. So with that, I hope everybody enjoyed the show. I thank you all for being here, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.